think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. If you watched the last episode on the Mk2 Escort, at the end of the video I came to the conclusion that I'm going to purchase a auto tunnel for it. So yeah, it's just arrived in the post. Let's check it out. Here is the gearbox tunnel in question. As you can see, it's a big old boy. So this is going to allow me more access to the Type 9 when it's in situ with the engine. I purchased this from Evolution Motorsport. They stock classic Mini body panels, classic Ford body panels, and also classic Mustang body panels. Yeah, I need to give a massive shout out to James because he got this sent out very quickly for me. I literally ordered this a couple of days and it's already here because I have now got 3 days off of work. So yeah, I'm very glad it got here in time. Let's get started. So there it is, I've finally got the gearbox tunnel. Let's get inside the Escort and try and line this up. Well, I've just been mocking up my automatic gearbox tunnel. That's going to be said a lot of times in this video. And yeah, so basically it doesn't actually sit flush because we've got this circular turret where the gear selector comes out of. Now this has been modified before, where the previous owner already had a Type 9 in this car. It used to sit there and it's just been moved back here to allow for the different gear selector location. So I think what I'm going to have to do first is cut this out. There we go, pretty neatly cut out if I do say so myself. My gearbox tunnel still isn't sitting flush with the floor, so what I've decided to do is I'm going to take a little bit off of these, just a little bit here, maybe an inch, and an inch this side as well, just so I can get it to slot in. Oh yeah. Why am I ripping apart my car? What the fuck? It's only now I'm actually starting to realise how much I've got to cut out. This is mega. Wow, it's gonna be a big old tunnel, that's for sure. I think it's only just starting to dawn on me how much I've undertaken here, but you know what, I'm well up for the task and I've just drawn around the auto gearbox tunnel. Now this isn't the bang on outline, but that's a fairly rough outline so I don't go too far with the angle grinder. Now I'm not going to be going all the way up to them lines anyway, because this has about ½ an inch where you can plug weld it and then you've got a stitch weld around it. So yeah, as you can see, it almost grows up to an inch at the top here. So yeah, I won't go anywhere near them lines. I'm just going to take this slow and steady and yeah, take off bits of metal. Last thing I want to do is take off too much. I cannot tell you guys how long I've spent lining this up, screwing it in and shaving bits of metal off, but yeah, we're finally there. So as you can see on this side, it is absolutely perfect. I've got a nice lip end in there going all the way around there. Yeah, I could look at this side all day, but when we come over to here, it does look a little bit horrible, I've got to admit. So yeah, it comes down here, and the tunnel, for some reason, it's got this little recess in it. On this side it doesn't, it stays straight, but on this one it goes in, so I've had to adjust the bulkhead to that, and it looks alright, but up here I'm not really too happy with it. I've had to cut a little bit just to release the pressure, because obviously it's curving round. So yeah, it doesn't look pretty here at all. I'm going to tidy it up. This old left-hand drive steering column hole was not welded up by me, obviously, as you can tell. So what I am debating doing is, once the tunnel's welded in, I might cut this whole section out and just weld a plate in there, a nice square plate, because yeah, that was already done before I purchased a car. But I'm not going to focus on the ugly bits. I have got this all lined up now. If we move underneath the tunnel now, you can see that I've cut out both of these sides and they're all looking nice and flush. I'm actually quite impressed with how I've managed to turn this all out. There was a point during today where I thought this just is too hard, but you know what, I've persisted and I finally got something that lines up perfectly and is ready to weld in. Moving back in the Escort, you'll notice that I've drilled loads of holes to be plug welded first of all before I stitch it in. It's all lined up, same with this side over here. As you can tell, it's a bright winter's morning. I plug welded the gearbox tunnel inside last night, and now we're gonna go around on the outside and stitch weld it in. Fast forward a couple of days and I'm now back out in the garage with Dad, and we have just put the engine back into the Mk2 Escort because now we actually have a big tunnel. So yeah, I've stitch welded and plug welded the whole tunnel in. I'll show you some more details on the stitch welds and the plug welds very soon, but the agenda for this evening is to get the engine and gearbox back in, which we've just done, and I'm going to be fitting my new gearbox mount. So this is from a retro Ford, as you can see, really nicely laser cut in there. So yeah, this is a much wider gearbox mount because obviously the tunnel's wider now. So this is based off a Mark III Capri gearbox mount. I know loads of people make their own. This is the mount here. So yeah, it goes in there. Obviously you got your big strengthening bit of metal. There's two big plates that go on the insides and all the hardware in there as well. So yeah, really impressed with this kit. I thought I'd treat myself and not go through the hassle of making my own, but as I've said, lots of people do make their own mounts. Once we've mounted this all up, then I can find out where my gear stick's coming out and relocate the hole and weld that in. As you can see, I'm now underneath the Mk2 Escort and I had a bit of a brainwave. Me and Dad were just about to bolt up the new gearbox mount, but just before I do that, I want to make sure the prop shaft fits and it's all nice and straight, because last thing I want to do is to drill the holes in the floor for the gearbox mount and it be off centre. So yeah, I'm going to make sure the prop fits and it's straight before we mount up the gearbox. There we go. I'm very happy that this fits because this prop shaft actually came with the car, so it's another part that I wasn't too sure if it was going to fit, but yep, it fits. All that's left to do is to pull up the gearbox from inside the car, and then we can start to line up the new gearbox mount. It wouldn't be an evening in the garage without coming into a little hurdle. Now, me and Dad have fitted the Retro Ford widened gearbox mount, and as you can see, it's just not wide enough. It's still on the bends there, and it's the same over here. So we've been scratching our heads for a little while and come up with an idea. So we're going to get 2 more bits of metal that sit on top of this and basically extends the mount over to a flat bit of the floor. 2 holes there, 2 holes there, then bolt it up like we were going to, and still use the big plates that it comes with insides. What's going on, guys? It's now the following morning, and last night, once that gearbox mount didn't fit, Dad got his thinking cap on and he came up with a solution. So I'm going to show you guys how we managed to fit that gearbox mount. So as you can see, we've added a slight extension on it. So we've got 2 bits of metal either side. We copied the holes, and now the mount actually goes all the way to the flat bit of floor. So whereas before it was still on the curve, I did ring Retro Ford up, but they just explained to me that this is the widest one they do, and yeah, they told me to send it back if it's not fit for use. But me and Dad thought we're going to make it fit because I know their stuff is really, really good and loads of people recommend them. So yeah, I want to keep the Retro Ford mount. All I've done is just extended it. Now, there is one thing I do quickly want to say about these plates, is they're only made out of 1mm thick metal at the moment, but once we come to finally fit everything, once the project is getting built up, we will be getting some 2mm or even 3mm thick plates. So yeah, it does hold the gearbox up at the moment, but obviously you don't really want to hold it up with 1mm thick bits of metal. So these plates are just intended for the mock-up purposes and nothing else. Now that we're inside the Mk2 Escort, you can see the reinforcement plates. One bolt into the floor there, and the other one bolt into the floor over here. The one thing that I'm now going to turn my attention to is getting the hole for the gear stick. So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty close, but we need to cut a section of this out and weld in my original gear stick hole, which I still got here. So yeah, we'll be able to line this up and get it welded back in. Right, so I've made a little cut. I don't know if I need to go a little bit wider, but we get to that stage when we test fit the metal surrounds. But for now, I've got a short shifter which I picked up from a bloke called Lee. I can't remember his surname, but yeah, Lee, if you're watching, I really appreciate this, mate. He also gave me a lightened flywheel, which I'll talk about in my next Pinto video. So yeah, I'm just about to fit this, or test fit it, should I say. Oi. Push down, there you go, push down. There we go, let's reverse. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. How cool is that? Right, so let's get to mocking up this metal surround. As you would have seen from them time lapses, I have welded the majority of this gear stick tower on. So now I'm left with some awkward gaps But I've made up these two little bits of metal with a slight bit of a bend at the top. They're just going to get welded on like that. I've got to say though, it's going so smoothly. Like, this metal to weld to is like easy. So yeah, the welds have come out really nicely. That is now the top gear lever hole all welded in. I've done that patch on this side and another one over the other side too. But yeah, that is the gearbox tunnel all welded in. I'm not sure how many angles I've actually got of this, but you can see how much more room we've got now to work with the gearbox. Even round this side, there's absolutely bags of room, so I can undo the gearbox in future and just slide it out without even touching the engine. I think we can call that a success. I'm really happy now that I've got a wider gearbox tunnel in there. I call it the auto tunnel just because it's a wider tunnel. Yeah, I'm definitely not fitting an automatic gearbox to it. It's still the Type 9 manual gearbox. Now, I know there was a few comments on the last video saying that I don't need to fit a wider tunnel, but if I'm completely honest with you guys, and I did reply to all of the comments, and I just explained that it is my car, and if I want to put in the effort now to chop out the old small tunnel and put a bigger tunnel in it, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to make my life easier. It's only cost me, what, just over £100 to do, and my time, so yeah, I'm really happy with it, and it's going to benefit me in the future. Anyway, it's all welded in now. I'm really happy with it. I want to shout out Ben Zanto because he really helps me with just advice, and I was sending him a few pictures whilst I was welding, and he said stitch it inside and outside, which I eventually done, and I also plug welded it from the inside. So yeah, I couldn't be more happier with the welding on the tunnel. It's got to be some of my best to date. Anyway guys, I hope I've shown you that a daunting task of cutting out a massive section of the car can be done, and yeah, I sort of just plodded my way through. I've learnt along the way, and it's all done now. So yeah, anyway, onto the more pressing matter. The Escort is still jacked up. The engine is still in the bay, but it's very soon going to come out. I've still got the gearbox and prop and that attached. What? Where's Dad's Mark 1 Fiesta gone? So yeah, we're having a bit of a shuffle around. It's now Sunday evening and I've got a week off work. So something very, very exciting is happening to the Mk2 Escort. You can all probably guess already what's going to happen. So yeah, tomorrow morning is the start of a week's worth of work on the Escort, and hopefully it'll be looking a lot different by Friday. But I think that's enough teasing for this evening. So if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later.